Did you know that nearly 48 million Americans fall ill each year due to foodborne illnesses and over 3,000 die from them? It's a shocking statistic that many people overlook, especially because the source of these illnesses often hides in plain sight our own refrigerators. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, older adults are especially vulnerable to foodborne illnesses due to a natural decline in immune function that comes with age. What's even more alarming is that the very appliance we trust to preserve our food, the fridge, might be quietly transforming safe items into dangerous ones without us realizing it. You see, when certain foods are stored incorrectly in the refrigerator, they can undergo chemical and physical changes that either strip them of their nutritional value or, worse, make them hazardous to your health. These changes can lead to food poisoning, the growth of harmful bacteria, or even the production of compounds that scientists now associate with serious diseases. Most people don't even question what they put in the fridge. After all, it feels like the safest place in the kitchen, but it's not always the right one. That's why in this video, we're going to highlight 9 everyday foods that you should think twice about refrigerating. Some of them might surprise you, especially the very first one on the list, which could be quietly sabotaging your meals and your well-being. So make sure you stick around until the end. What you'll learn today could dramatically reduce your risk of foodborne illness and potentially even save your life. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tips to help you live stronger and safer, especially after 60. Number 9, potatoes, the beloved staple that turns harmful in the fridge. Let's begin with one of the most common and misunderstood ingredients in kitchens around the world, the humble potato. Most of us toss them straight into the refrigerator thinking we're preserving them, but in reality, storing raw potatoes in cold temperatures can trigger a chemical transformation that makes them unsafe to eat. Here's what's really happening. When potatoes are exposed to cold temperatures, the starches within them begin to convert into sugar at a much faster rate than they would at room temperature. Now you might think, so what, sugar isn't bad in small amounts. But here's where it gets concerning. When these sugar-loaded potatoes are cooked, especially at high heat, like when roasting or frying, they produce a compound called acrylamide, a substance linked to cancer in animal studies and currently being investigated for its potential effects on human health. Beyond the chemical concerns, refrigeration also wrecks the texture of potatoes. Instead of remaining firm and earthy, they often turn soft, grainy, or even mushy. If you've ever taken a bite of roasted potatoes that tasted oddly sweet, or noticed they turned grayish in color, that's a sign they were chilled before cooking. To keep your potatoes safe and nutritious, they should be stored in a cool, dark, and dry place like a pantry or cupboard, never in a cold and damp fridge. This keeps their flavor intact, their texture firm, and your health protected. So if you've been keeping a bag of spuds in the fridge, now's the time to take them out and store them the right way. Number 8, bread. Why refrigerating it does more harm than good bread is a comfort food for people of all ages, but it's especially popular among seniors, who often rely on it for quick meals and snacks. You might think placing your loaf of bread in the fridge helps it last longer, but surprisingly, this well-meaning habit actually does the opposite. The culprit is a scientific process known as retrogradation. In simple terms, when bread is exposed to cold temperatures, the starch molecules start to crystallize, and this causes the bread to lose moisture rapidly. The result: your soft, fluffy slices turn stale and tough, much faster in the fridge than they would at room temperature. And here's another issue. Once the bread is removed from the fridge and exposed to warm air, that cycle of moisture loss and condensation creates a perfect environment for mold growth. Mold spores thrive in damp, uneven temperatures, especially when reheating or toasting the bread. And while some molds are just unpleasant, others can release mycotoxins, dangerous substances that can cause serious health issues, particularly for older adults whose bodies can't fight them off as easily. So what's the best way to keep your bread fresh and safe if you'll eat it within a few days? Store it at room temperature in a sealed container or a traditional bread box. For longer storage, freeze it. Freezing stops mold and staling in their tracks without compromising the texture or taste. Just slice it before freezing so you can easily thaw what you need. The fridge, unfortunately, is the worst place for your daily loaf. It speeds up spoilage and puts your health at risk. Number 7, onions. Why the fridge ruins their flavor and increases health risks. This one catches a lot of people off guard. Onions, especially whole raw ones, are often stored in the fridge for convenience, but doing so can lead to a host of unexpected problems. First, let's talk about structure. Onions are naturally wrapped in a papery skin that protects them from moisture and keeps them crisp. When stored in the cold, humid environment of a refrigerator, the natural defense breaks down. The onion starts absorbing excess moisture from the air, especially once it's been cut. The result is a soggy, rubbery texture, unpleasant smell, and a much shorter shelf life. Mold can start growing rapidly in those moist layers sometimes, even before you notice it. But that's not all. Onions are highly aromatic, and their strong odor can seep into other foods stored nearby. Eggs, butter, and dairy products can absorb onion smell and taste, affecting the flavor of everything else in your fridge. That pungent aroma might be great in a stir fry, but not in your morning yogurt. The best place to store whole onions is in a well-ventilated basket or mesh bag in a cool, dry, and dark spot in your kitchen, far from the fridge. Once an onion is peeled or sliced, it should be sealed in an airtight container and used within a few days, but even then it's better stored in a cool pantry or used fresh as soon as possible. Keeping onions out of the fridge helps them stay crisp, flavorful, and mold-free while also preventing their strong scent from invading the rest of your groceries. Number 6, tomatoes. The cold truth about this misunderstood fruit. Tomatoes are a staple in many kitchens and are often viewed as a healthy go-to ingredient for salads, sauces, and sandwiches. But here's something many people don't know. Storing tomatoes in the refrigerator can actually ruin them both in terms of taste and nutrition. You see, tomatoes are tropical fruits by nature, which means they thrive in warm environments. When placed in the cold environment of a refrigerator, their internal chemistry begins to change. The ripening process essential for developing the rich, sweet, and tangy flavor that makes tomatoes so enjoyable comes to a halt. That's because the natural enzymes responsible for creating their signature flavor stop working properly in low temperatures. As a result, instead of enjoying a juicy, flavorful tomato, you'll bite into something bland, watery, and mushy. The once vibrant fruit loses its firmness, and the inside turns soft and rubbery. Even its nutrients begin to degrade. Tomatoes are a great source of vitamin C, an essential nutrient for immune support, but cold storage accelerates the breakdown of this vitamin, meaning you're getting less health benefit with every bite. And let's not ignore the visual side. Tomatoes stored in the fridge start to wrinkle and shrivel, giving them an aged, lifeless appearance, even if they're technically still edible. If you've ever cut into a tomato and found a lack of flavor, moisture, or color, refrigeration was likely to blame. So what's the best way to keep tomatoes fresh and nutritious? Store them at room temperature away from direct sunlight and with the stem side down to preserve their juices. If they become overripe, consider cooking them into a sauce or stew immediately. Whatever you do, don't refrigerate them. It's one of the fastest ways to strip away everything that makes a tomato worth eating. Number 5, garlic. From superfood to hidden hazard, when chilled, garlic has long been celebrated as a medicinal powerhouse. Rich in sulfur-based compounds like allicin, it's known for its immune-boosting, antibacterial, and even heart-protective properties. But storing garlic the wrong way can erase all those benefits and may even pose serious health risks. Most people don't think twice before tossing a bulb of garlic into the fridge. But that's a big mistake. Garlic is naturally built to last for weeks, sometimes even months. When kept in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated place like a pantry, the moment you move it to a colder, more humid environment, like the fridge, that natural preservation breaks down. Refrigerated garlic tends to sprout prematurely, and while those green shoots might look harmless, they're a sign that the garlic is deteriorating from the inside. The flavor becomes bitter, the texture rubbery, and worst of all, the medicinal compounds like allicin begin to fade. What you're left with is garlic that's not only less effective, but also less safe. Here's the most alarming part. Minced garlic stored in oil and kept in the fridge can become a breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria that causes botulism, a rare but extremely dangerous illness that can lead to muscle paralysis and even death. The FDA has issued warnings about this very issue, yet many people unknowingly prepare and store garlic this way. To avoid these risks, always store whole bulbs in a dry pantry away from sunlight. If you need to chop garlic ahead of time, store it in a sealed glass jar and submerge it in vinegar or lemon juice, not oil. That acidic environment helps prevent bacterial growth. And most importantly, don't put garlic in the fridge unless it's already cooked. Keeping garlic safe is as simple as storing it right. Number 4, coffee. Why the fridge ruins your favorite brew. You may not think of coffee as a food, but it definitely earns a spot on this list. Whether you enjoy a warm cup in the morning or sip throughout the day, how you store your coffee beans or grounds can make a big difference in both flavor and safety. Coffee is incredibly sensitive to its environment, its hygroscopic meaning. It absorbs moisture and odors from the air around it like a sponge. When you place your coffee in the fridge, it becomes surrounded by fruits, vegetables, and leftovers, each releasing their own aromas and moisture. Over time, your beans or grounds start soaking up all those scents and flavors, leading to a brew that tastes strange, bitter, or flat. But it's not just about taste. The real danger is moisture. Every time you open and close the refrigerator door, the temperature fluctuates and condensation forms. This moisture clings to the surface of your coffee beans or grounds, causing them to clump, age prematurely, and lose the delicate oils that give coffee its signature aroma and health benefits like chlorogenic acid, a powerful antioxidant that supports brain and heart health. Worse still, if coffee grounds are stored in a non-airtight container, the damp environment can lead to mold growth, a serious concern especially for older adults with weakened immune systems. So if your daily cup has been tasting a little off lately, your fridge may be the culprit. The best way to keep coffee fresh, store it at room temperature in an airtight opaque container. Place it in a dark cabinet away from heat and light. Avoid the freezer too. Unless you're storing beans long term and sealing them properly, your taste buds and your health will thank you. Number 3, honey, the sweet mistake that ruins a natural superfood. Honey is one of the few foods on earth that never spoils on its own. Thanks to its natural acidity and low moisture content, honey can last indefinitely when stored properly, but the refrigerator, that's the worst place you can put it when exposed. To cold temperatures, honey undergoes a process called crystallization. It becomes grainy, thick, and nearly impossible to pour or spread. Many people assume that crystallized honey has gone bad, but in reality, it's just been stored incorrectly. Still, this change in texture makes it less enjoyable and harder to use in recipes. But texture isn't the only problem. As honey crystallizes and hardens, it traps small air pockets inside the jar. Each time the jar is opened and closed, moisture from the surrounding air enters the container. Over time, that moisture can lead to fermentation, giving the honey a sour smell or taste, and potentially allowing microbial growth, something honey is usually immune to under proper conditions. Even worse, refrigeration can slow down the natural enzymes in honey, like glucose oxidase, which are responsible for its antibacterial and healing properties. That means you're losing some of the very compounds that make honey such a health-boosting sweetener. So where should you store honey in a tightly sealed container, kept at room temperature in a dark cupboard? If it crystallizes over time, simply place the jar in a bowl of warm, not hot water and stir gently until it returns to its natural smoothness. Keep the cold out of your honey, and it will reward you with flavor, nutrition, and shelf life for years to come. Number 2, bananas, the tropical fruit that loses its magic in the fridge. Bananas are beloved around the globe, and for good reason. They're soft, naturally sweet, packed with potassium and easy on the digestive system, making them a favorite among seniors who need quick energy and gentle nourishment. But here's a mistake many people make without even realizing it. Storing bananas in the refrigerator is one of the fastest ways to ruin everything that makes this fruit so beneficial. Why? Because bananas are tropical by nature. Their internal enzymes are designed to function in warm climates. When you place bananas in a cold environment, especially before they've ripened, the cold actually halts the ripening process altogether. This means your bananas may remain hard and underdeveloped, never achieving that rich, sweet flavor you're used to. Instead of ripening slowly and evenly, they turn unpleasantly bland, and the skin darkens quickly to an unappetizing grayish-black color. That discoloration isn't just cosmetic. It's a signal that the cold has damaged the cellular structure of the fruit. Inside, things get worse. Chilling causes the banana's flesh to turn mushy in some spots while remaining too firm in others. Even more concerning, the cold can destroy natural antioxidants like dopamine and cacan's compounds, known to support brain function and reduce oxidative stress. 2 areas of critical importance for older adults. Most people don't realize they're tossing out brain-boosting benefits every time they put bananas in the fridge. And if the banana is already very ripe when it enters the refrigerator, it creates the perfect storm. Trapped moisture within the peel, especially near the stem, becomes a breeding ground for mold. This not only shortens the lifespan of the fruit, but also increases the risk of ingesting mold spores, which can irritate the respiratory system and digestive tract. So, what should you do? Instead, keep your bananas at room temperature, ideally in a fruit bowl or hanging from a banana hook, so air can circulate around them. If they start to overripe and you can't eat them fast enough, peel and freeze them in an airtight container for use in smoothies or baking. Just don't refrigerate them if you want to preserve their nutrients, texture, and flavor. Number 1, olive oil, the heart-healthy essential that turns harmful when chilled. Olive oil is often hailed as one of the healthiest fats you can consume. It's a cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet, praised for its rich content of monounsaturated fats, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds. For many seniors, a drizzle of olive oil over salad or vegetables is part of a daily routine to support heart health and brain function. But despite its many virtues, olive oil becomes a potential health hazard when stored in the refrigerator. When chilled olive oil goes through a process called solidification, where the naturally occurring fatty acids begin to crystallize. This causes the oil to become cloudy and partially solid. While this change may seem harmless, the real problem begins with repeated temperature fluctuations. Every time the oil is removed from the cold and brought back to room temperature, its chemical structure is stressed. This can accelerate oxidation, a reaction that generates free radicals, unstable molecules that promote inflammation and cellular damage. Over time, these oxidative changes degrade the beneficial compounds that make olive oil a superfood in the first place. Antioxidants like polyphenols and vitamin E are broken down, leaving behind an oil that no longer offers the same heart protective benefits. In fact, if abused by improper storage, olive oil can begin contributing to the very problems it's meant to prevent, like joint inflammation and digestive discomfort, both of which are already common concerns for older adults. Refrigeration also affects the usability of the oil. Once solidified, it becomes difficult to pour, increasing the chances of spills or accidentally using too much, which means excess calories and fat, something many seniors are trying to monitor. And on top of all that, the flavor suffers. The crisp, peppery, fruity notes of high-quality olive oil fade when subjected to cold and then reheated, dulling the experience of every meal it touches. To protect both the taste and health benefits of your olive oil, store it in a dark glass bottle or metal container away from light and heat sources like the stove. A cool cabinet or pantry is ideal. When stored properly, good quality olive oil can stay fresh for up to 18 to 24 months and remain one of the best tools in your kitchen for healthy aging. So there you have it. 9 everyday foods that you should never put in the refrigerator, especially if you're focused on maintaining your health and well-being as you age. The refrigerator, while incredibly useful, isn't always the safest place for every ingredient. Here's a quick recap in what you can start doing today. Keep bananas, tomatoes, and onions out of the fridge to preserve their flavor and nutrition. Store potatoes and garlic in a cool, dry, and dark location, not cold and moist. Leave bread at room temperature for short-term use and freeze what you won't eat in a few days. Place coffee in a sealed, opaque container in a dark cupboard not near moisture or light. Keep honey in your pantry to preserve its natural enzymes and antibacterial strength. And most importantly, never refrigerate olive oil. Protect its antioxidants and flavor by storing it in a cool, dark space. These small adjustments in how you store your food can go a long way in preserving both your health and the quality of your meals. As we get older, every bite counts. So let's make sure those bites are as safe, nutritious, and delicious as they can be. Now it's your turn. Were you surprised by any of the foods on this list? Have you been storing them in the fridge without realizing the risks? Share your experience in the comments below and let us know what changes you'll be making starting today. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss practical health tips that support your life after 60. Thanks for watching, and remember, healthy choices begin right in your